Hey everybody, I've been digging through the backlogs and the file rooms of the comics industry for the last couple days, and I have found 10 unloved comic book covers that were banished to the trash can, the file folder, and now I've dug them back up. I've put a little shine on them, and I'm ready to bring you 10 of my favorite rejected comic book covers. If we're just meeting, I'm Drew. I'm the owner of Como Comic Books, and here on our YouTube channel, our mission is to help you take your comic collection to the next level. We do comic book collecting tips, tricks, things like that. So if that's your thing, please consider hitting the subscribe button, ringing the bell, all those good things. But now let's go ahead and hop into the content. I just was killing some time the other night, and I happened to cross Comic Link's feature auction that's going on right now. And one of the items I came across was a piece of original art I'd never seen before. It was an unused cover to Amazing Spider-Man 361, which is the first appearance of Carnage. Needless to say, I'm not going to be able to buy this piece of art. The last I looked, I think it was going for about $27,000. Just a great piece. But that got me thinking. I'm aware of several other pieces of unused original art, specifically covers, that I've come across over the years, and I thought that'd be a fun video. So if you're into that kind of thing, or if you want to see what your favorite comic book almost looked like, then this video is for you. So we are going to go ahead and dive into the content, starting off with the book that got us here, the inspiration for the video, Amazing Spider-Man 361. This is the cover we all know. It is a Mark Bagley cover, just like the extra piece I found on Comic Link, but this has been an original print. They went through a second print. However, here's the piece that prompted this unused art from Bagley. It's the exact same creative team. I don't know why I couldn't find anything on why they rejected this cover. In my opinion, the unpublished cover is as good, if not maybe even better, than the cover that was published. But as you can see, it's a much more dramatic cover. It almost puts Spider-Man at even more of a disadvantage, because not only is he still kind of in trouble, he's literally buried under a wall. So very cool cover in that regard. Before we move on to the next book, be sure to let me know if you're watching here live or if you're catching this video on the replay. On to our next book. You may or may not know, Amazing Fantasy 15. This wasn't the original cover. This cover was actually done by Jack Kirby, despite the fact that Steve Ditko was the co-creator of Spider-Man. When Ditko turned in his cover, Stan didn't think it made Spider-Man look heroic enough. So, due to that, Stan reached out to Jack Kirby, the king, and said, Jack, I need you to, work some magic on this. And of course, that's the cover we all know and love. But this is Steve Ditko's original cover. This is a really good piece of art. I don't know that I like it more than Kirby's version. It was recently used as a variant for Amazing Spider-Man 700. It was like a 1 in 1,000 variant, I believe, which if you're trying to find one, I'm sorry, because it's crazy expensive right now. This is not a picture of that variant. This is actually a colorized version I found on the internet that has more of a true to the time color scheme and such. So it's a little more vintage looking than the actual variant, but I thought it was a really good rendition of what that cover would have looked like had it been published. So still a lot of the similar elements. You can tell Kirby might have taken some inspiration from what Ditko did. Very cool cover. Our next book, you'll catch a theme here. I think Marvel was a lot pickier than DC was. Most of the covers I found, or you can find with any sort of research, they're Marvel covers. This is just scratching the surface of the number of Marvel covers that are out there. If you're an X-Men fan, sky's the limit. I think X-Men had to have had more rejected covers than any other book that was put out. So, I'm a Green Goblin fan. If you guys know me at all personally, the Green Goblin is my guy. So I had to include this cover. This is Amazing Spider-Man 97. It is one of the drug issues where Harry Osborn is he's having some problems, right? Unfortunately, despite the fact that the government reached out to Marvel to put out content or issues that showed the bad side of drugs, that were anti-drug, when it came time for the Comics Code Authority to approve those stories that were again produced by Marvel at the request of the US government, the Comics Code Authority did not approve the issues. So Amazing Spider-Man 96, 97, and 98 all don't have the Comics Code Authority stamp or seal of approval on them. That's all fine and well. However, I think this cover, had it gone as far as they originally intended it to, probably would have warranted that. I've always thought the published cover to Amazing Spider-Man 97 was a little plain, and it almost feels rushed to me. And it was just recently I learned that the reason for that is that this is not the original cover. Gil Kane actually provided this cover. I'm going to pull in and make it a little bigger, because you can actually, if you get closer to it and, really dive in, there's a lot going on here. In some of the mock-ups I've seen, Harry Osborn is actually holding a vial of pills, and there's drugs on the table, and it's a really harrowing scene that Gil Kane originally drew out here on this cover. You can also see, if you look at like the Spider-Man and Green Goblin fight and the buildings that are going on in the background, you can see that there are some elements of this rejected cover that were recycled into the cover for Amazing Spider-Man 98. So it wasn't a complete loss. At least some of the inspiration or design details were taken and reutilized in the next issue. Still a really cool book, in my opinion. So now I'm going to hop over. I'm going to check out the chat. I see a lot of activity over here. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so the black and white was the back cover of fanzine. So thanks for that information. Jeff says, hey, how's it going? It's going all right. It's been a crazy week already. I'm sure everybody's feeling that. End of the month always seems to go a little haywire around here anyway, so I hope everybody's doing good. We'll say hey to my buddy Tom. I see him up in here. Gary, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. All right, all live. Glad to be here. Glad to have you all. We got 12 people with us right now. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. I know Tuesday night, a bit of an odd time, trying to work out when works best for everyone on doing these live streams, and just coming up on figuring out content, timing. We'll get it all figured out. So thank you again for joining me. And now I will go ahead and carry on to the next book, which is Batman Adventures Annual number 1. This is the third appearance of Harley Quinn. It's the first Roxy Rocket, which is interesting because she doesn't make an appearance on the cover, but she nearly did. One of the original covers actually featured Roxy back behind, basically Batman and her traded places on the published cover. As I was reading about this, Bruce Timm apparently did at least 4 different cover mock-ups for this issue. I don't know if I like this one better than the published one or not, but it just seemed interesting to me that for an annual, your cover artist went through that many iterations. It seems like a lot of effort, a lot of production that just kind of got stuffed in a drawer somewhere. So Batman Adventures Annual #1. It's a hot book. I found one in a dollar bin once, and I actually didn't grab it. That was dumb. Don't make my mistake. If you find one of these for a good price, pick it up. Next book, Fantastic Four 52. Everybody knows this book. It's been hot for several years now since the characters joined the cast of the MCU. The character as we know it almost looked a lot different. A lot different. And that's reflected in the rejected cover for FF52. So while this is the classic cover we all know and love, it nearly looked a lot different. The Black Panther almost had light colored shorts, kind of like a little half mask thingy going on, light colored cape. I don't know what that was all about. Thankfully, we toned it down. We kept it simple, mostly all black, streamlined, and I think that was a good change. Kirby, for all the credit he is given, went through a lot of revisions. Several of the covers I found in doing research for this were Kirby pieces, whether it was just a character redesign or a complete layout change, what have you. Jack did a lot of work that never saw the light of day, or at least a printing press. Speak of the Devil, Fantastic Four Annual #1. This is an early Silver Age Submariner appearance. Also a fairly early Spider-Man appearance, as this is a 1963 annual. It's also a square-bound book, really tough to find in high grade. Late 60s square bound's hard to find. Early in high grade, early 60s square bound in high grade is really tough. So while this is the published cover, the unpublished cover was a lot busier. Your main scene was actually shrunk down and Spider-Man was emphasized more. I think this was a good change again. To me, Namor in the background with all of his people, it kind of minimizes or remove some of the emphasis that the published cover gave to Namor. So I think that was a good change. I don't know that it would have sold as well. Maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't, but I think it's definitely was a good change. Hopping back over to the comments now. See Shiny, he's saying he missed the last live stream, but we're happy to have you on this one. Right. Got Wink Ink, I think is how I'm going to pronounce that. He says he's everywhere. Well, I'm glad you made it here. As you know, you're happy you found it. I'm happy you found it. Glad you're enjoying the content. And I got to agree with Jeff too. He's saying it's not a good look for the Black Panther. And if you actually look it up, he's got on like a yellow and black or gray striped shirt. It's really, really crazy. We'll get one last comment. Chris saying he just discovered the channel a week ago. He loves the content and the production. We're flying a little fast and loose tonight on live streams. Still early on it, so thank you guys for sticking with me. And if you have just recently found the channel, thank you for joining us. It's we're a little over a year in, and things are moving in the right direction. So I appreciate everybody who's been with us from the beginning, everybody who's found us in the middle, and everybody who's just coming on. Hopping over to our next book now, we're getting back into another DC issue. Green Lantern 87, another key. This is the first appearance of John Stewart, second Guy Gardner, classic Neil Adams cover. Even Neil Adams got redrawn. You'll actually see another one of his covers. He had to go back to the drawing board on this one. Apparently, editorial didn't like something quite about this one. I can't determine if I like the original cover or not. I think the published cover looks a little odd. I think I think either would have been fine. I'm not crazy about either one of them, but let me know in the chat or in the comments what you think. Which cover do you prefer, the published one or the revised cover? Next book, Secret Wars number 4. This issue, nothing really too crazy happens. It's the 4th part in the 12-part Secret Wars series, and it's just a really dramatic pose of Hulk holding up so much rock, trying to keep everybody from getting squished. This Bob Layton cover was actually his second try, because the first cover was a lot tighter framing. It almost looks like they wanted the cover or the perspective pulled out to really give you or give the reader the perception of just how much weight, how much bulk the Hulk was trying to hold up. Looking at the revised cover, it screams Steranko to me. This is the closest thing to the Hulk King Size Annual 1 or King Size Special 1 cover I think I've seen. Just as far as the posing and the dynamics of the cover, I think it was really great. But I also, that said, I understand why they would have pulled back the framing of the shot just to give you that bigger sense of scale with how much the Hulk was holding up. Another DC book up next, Wonder Woman 76. We got Wonder Woman versus the Triple Stars. I've never heard of these guys before. If you're a Triple Stars fan, hit me up, let me know what I'm missing. But this Carmine Infantino cover was the originally submitted cover for the story. And as you can see, the entire concept of the original piece of art was blown up for the published cover. I don't know that I'm really crazy about either one of these, to be honest. I don't know. What am I missing on this? Is anybody passionate about it either way? To me, I think they're both okay. Neither one of them are too stellar, but somebody out there must have liked it. It's okay. So that's good. And our last book is, I promised you more Neil Adams. Here I'm delivering. Our last book is X-Men 56. I would consider this a classic Neil Adams cover. I always have liked it. It's a very, pun intended, powerful cover. As the cover literally asks, what is the power? However, I think this is one of the real misses in reworked covers that I was able to find in my research. I understand why it was done, and I'll get into that, but just how powerless the X-Men seem as they are tied onto the letters of the word X-Men. It just really gives you a sense of how defeated they were compared to the published image. Now, back in the day when comics were sold primarily through racks, right? They were all on spinner racks. The only way you could really identify what book you were looking at is, the title would peek out over the top of the book below it. So that's how everybody knew what they were buying. So it was kind of an unwritten rule in the industry that as you were doing your cover art, you don't obstruct the title, because that's all you've got to sell your book, is that top couple of inches that sticks out above the next book down on the spinner rack. So it makes sense to me. However, I still would have liked to have seen this original cover go into production. So that's our list of 10 unpublished or rejected comic covers I was able to find. There are several others out there that I couldn't find pictures of. One that I hunted for was a unpublished version of Tales of Suspense 55, which features a Mandarin that has like long claws and teeth. He looks pretty monstrous for 1960s standards. And due to the comics code, they had to change and kind of tone down some of the more extreme features of that. I believe it's in the back of a Marvel Masterworks, and I dug through all of mine and I just don't have it. So I wasn't able to share that one with you guys tonight, but I hope you did enjoy the covers I found. I'm going to check in with the chat one last time. Got Ronnie saying he really loves the covers. And it was a surprise to me as well on that Secret Wars cover. I didn't realize that Layton had done more than one version of that. Shiny says he's got Secret Wars signed by Bob Layton. Bob Layton's a guy I actually haven't got to meet yet. I keep hoping I'll find him at a show around here sometime. So congrats on your signed Secret Wars 4. Tom says he thinks the non-published was better. Tom, I'm not sure what book you were talking about, but I'll trust your judgment. And Bolt says he just got caught up on the stream. Great show and content. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's something fun that we've started doing, so I'm glad that everyone else is enjoying it. Try and get the camera to focus a little better. Jeff says that according to Neil Adams, it was one of the first times the cover art interacted with the title. So I believe that's right. Very cool. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I hope you're all having a great start to your week. I put out a short today. It's a little different, something I'm going to be playing with. So let me know what you think of some YouTube short concept ideas. I put a post up on the community tab, so be sure to head over there. I've got a poll up. Just let me know what kind of content you would best like to see on the YouTube short side. I'm going to keep trying to play with that some and get some more content out for you guys in a variety of forms. So I'm going to land the plane and say good night, and we will see you in the next video.